Muhammadiyah English School. Subject Science. Standard 10th. Topic Animal Classification. Subtopic Phylum Porifera. Kingdom Animalia. Phylum Porifera. The last kingdom from the Whitaker's classification is the kingdom Animalia, which includes multicellular eukaryotic organisms. Kingdom Animalia is divided into two phyla, Invertebrata and Vertebrata. Invertebrates are the animals without a backbone, and vertebrates are the animals with backbone. Let's have a look into Invertebrata, which is further classified into 8 phyla. Number 1. Phylum Porifera. Number 2. Phylum Coelenterata. Number 3. Phylum Platyhelminthes. Number 4. Phylum Nematoda. Number 5. Phylum Annelida. Number 6. Phylum Mollusca. Number 7. Phylum Arthropoda. And number 8. Phylum Echinodermata. Today we shall discuss briefly about the general characteristics of Phylum Porifera. Students, here we are having tricks to remember Phylum Porifera. Considering each letter from Phylum Porifera, we have derived the general keywords. Let's begin with P, which stands for pore-bearing. O, which is ostia and osculum. R is for the reproduction. I is for intracellular digestion. F stands for fertilization, which is internal. E stands for euspongia. R stands for Robert E. Grant, the scientist who had coined the term porifera. A is for the aquatic and asymmetrical. P, which is pore-bearing organisms. Phylum Porifera includes pore-bearing animals, which are commonly called as sponges. O is for the ostia and osculum. Ostia are the tiny pores present all over the body of the sponges. Its function is to let the water, along with the desired nutrients, flows interior of the sponges. An osculum is an excretory structure through which the current of water exists after passing through the sponge seal. R is for the reproduction. Sponges may reproduce asexually and sexually as well. Sponges are able to reproduce asexually through two ways. Number 1, fragmentation, and number 2, budding. In fragmentation, as you can see in picture 1, the sponge is split or broken into many pieces or fragments, and each new fragment attaches to a new surface and begins to grow into a new sponge. Number 2, budding. At the basal part, the outgrowth begins to grow in the form of bud. When the initial growth of the bud completes, it breaks off from the parent plant and attaches to a new surface and begins to develop into a new cycon, as you can see in picture 2. Sexual reproduction. As you can see in the life cycle, in the cyclic process of sexual reproduction, in number 1, the adult sponge releases the sperm cells. In number 2, you can see the sperm cell entering the another sponge and fertilizing the egg cell. In number 3, you can see that since the egg cell is fertilized, it results in the development of larvae. In number 4, you can see that water currents and heavy winds carry these larvae away. And in number 5, you can see the larvae settles on a hard surface and develops into an adult sponge. I is for the intracellular digestion in Porifera. Sponges obtain food particles from water. Intracellular digestion occurs in sponges where food particles are digested inside the specialized cells. The cells take in the particles and digest them, expelling out the waste materials. F is for the fertilization, which is internal. Sponge Sperms are released from one sponge and carried by the currents of water to the pores of another sponge, as you can see in the figure. Since eggs are fertilized inside the sponge's body, the fertilization is considered to be internal. And then the larvae develops, and then it comes out, and then it falls on a new substratum. It attaches to the substratum and then develops into a new sponge. But the basic main fertilization, it takes place internally inside the sponge's body, and hence the fertilization is said to be internal. E is for the Euspongia. So, Euspongia and Cycon are the basic members of phylum Porifera. R is for the Robert E. Grant. This is the scientist, as you can see in picture 1, who has finally proved that sponges are animals and coined the name Porifera. A is for the aquatic and asymmetrical. These sponges are all aquatic animals. Basically, most of them are found in marine water, whereas few are also freshwater dwellers. Most of these animals have the asymmetrical body plan without proper body symmetry. Symmetry is absent, and hence they are considered to be asymmetrical. Let's summarize. P, which stands for pore bearing. So as you all know, all the poriferans are pore bearing organisms. O is for the ostia and osculum, which are the specialized cells to carry out the function of food digestion and taking in the water and releasing out the waste materials. R is for the reproduction, which occurs both sexually as well as asexually in poriferans. I is for the intracellular digestion, which occurs with the help of specialized cells. F is for the fertilization, which is internally done. E is for the Euspongia and Cycon, which are the basic members of phylum Porifera. R is for the Robert E. Grant, the scientist who coined the name Porifera. A is for the aquatic and asymmetrical body plan in poriferans. Thank you.